Let's have a look at Lewis Carroll's Hunting of the Snark. And first we'll do a little bit about Lewis Carroll. This is from the Wikipedia page, which will be linked in this description below. Charles Lutwidge Dodgson, 27th of January 1832 to 14th of January 1898, better known by his pen name Lewis Carroll. He was an English author, poet and mathematician. His most notable works are not listed in the Wikipedia page, but included in this list are Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, Through the Looking Glass, and its sequel, Through the Looking Glass. I wonder what most notable means, but it sounds more like the opinion of the writer. His most well-known, I think, would be better. He came from a family of high church Anglicans and developed a long relationship with Christ Church, Oxford. Is that what it's actually called? Do Oxford colleges not call themselves colleges? They just call themselves churches. Yes, they do. Go to chch.ox.ac.uk. Accept the cookies. A big, welcoming Oxford College and a city cathedral sharing a unique historic space and not bothering about stupid old antiquated grammatical forms. They look lovely. Their address is St Alders, Oxford, OX1 1DP. Yeah, look. Is that there? Let's take a look at this. These things are always worth having a gander. Wonder what the birds are. That's where the beast comes from. He looks vaguely Chinese, that lion. So there, that's his college. In my opinion, his most notable works are an elementary treatise on determinants, and Euclid and his modern rivals, maybe. He was a complete and utter committed Christian. I don't know when he said this. He said, "I believe," to a friend of his, when he asked him about his religious views. He wrote this, that he was a member of the Church of England, but doubted if he was fully a high churchman. He said, "I believe that when you and I come to lie down for the last time, if only we can keep firm hold of the great truths Christ taught us, our own utter worthlessness and his infinite worth, and that he has brought us back to our one Father and made us his brethren, and so brethren to one another, we shall have all we need to guide us through the shadows. Most assuredly I accept to the full the doctrines you refer to, that Christ died to save us, that we have no other way of salvation open to us but through his death, and that by faith it is by faith in him and through no merit of ours that we are reconciled to God, and most assuredly I can cordially say, I owe all to him who loved me and died on the cross of Calvary." Carroll, 1897. That was not long before he died. He also expressed interest in other fields. He was an early member of the Society for Psychical Research, and one of his letters suggests that he accepted as real what was then called thought reading. Dodgson wrote some studies of various philosophical arguments. In 1895 he developed a philosophical regressus argument on deductive reasoning in his article "What the Tortoise Said to Achilles," which appeared in one of the early volumes of Mind. The article was reprinted in the same journal 100 years later in 1995 with a subsequent article by Simon Blackburn entitled "Practical Tortoise Raising." So the copy that Google Books have of The Hunting of the Snark was actually, or is, probably still is. Here's the front. That's the bellman. Henry Holliday was the illustrator, so the illustrations actually carry quite a... It's Oxford University English Faculty Library's copy, which has been there for quite a while by the look of it. Looks like it was scanned around 2007. The Hunting of the Snark. An Agony in 8 Fits by Lewis Carroll, author of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. 9 illustrations by Henry Holiday, 14,000. That's the printing. London, Macmillan and Company, 1876. So this is 20 years before he wrote that bit about dying. Clay, Sons and Taylor Printers, Bread Street Hill. Wow. Inscribed to a dear child in memory of golden summer hours and whispers of a summer sea. Girt with boyish garb for boyish task, eager she wields her spade, yet loves as well. Hang on, can I just make that a bit? Rest on a friendly knee, intent to ask the tale he loves to tell. Rude spirits to the seething outer strife, unmeet to read her pure and simple sprite. Deem, if you list, such hours a waste of life, empty of all delight. Chat on, sweet maid, and rescue from annoy hearts that by wiser talk are unbeguiled. Ah, happy he who owns that tenderest joy, the heart-love of a child. Away, fond thoughts, and vex my soul no more. Work claims my wakeful nights, my busy days, albeit bright memories of that sunlit shore yet haunt my dreaming gaze. If, and the thing is wildly possible, the charge of writing nonsense were ever brought against the author of this brief but instructive poem, it would be based, I feel convinced, on the line in page 18. Then the bowsprit got mixed with the rudder sometimes. In view of this painful possibility, I will not, as I might, appeal indignantly to my other writings as a proof that I am incapable of such a deed. I will not, as I might, point to the strong moral purpose of this poem itself, to the arithmetical principles so cautiously inculcated in it, or to its noble teachings in natural history. I will take the more prosaic course of simply explaining how it happened. The bellman, who was almost morbidly sensitive about appearances, used to have the bowsprit unshipped once or twice a week to be revarnished, and it more than once happened, when the time came for replacing it, that no one on board could remember which end of the ship it belonged to. They knew it was not of the slightest use to appeal to the bellman about it. He would only refer to his naval code and read out in pathetic tones admiralty instructions which none of them had ever been able to understand. So it generally ended in its being fastened on anyhow across the rudder. The helmsman used to stand by with tears in his eyes. Let's check the footnote. This office was usually undertaken by the boots, who found in it a refuge from the baker's constant complaints about the insufficient blacking of his 3 pair of boots. He knew it was all wrong, but alas, Rule 42 of the Code, no one shall speak to the man at the helm, had been completed by the bellman himself with words, and the man at the helm shall speak to no one. So remonstrance was impossible, and no steering could be done until the next varnishing day. During these bewildering intervals, the ship usually sailed backwards. As this poem is to some extent connected with the lay of the Jabberwock, let me take this opportunity of answering a question that has often been asked to me about how to pronounce slithy toves. The I in slithy is long, as in writhe, and toves is pronounced so as to rhyme with groves. Again, the first O in borogoves is pronounced like the O in borrow. I have heard people try to give it the sound of the O in worry, such is human perversity. So some people have been heard to say borogoves. This also seems a fitting occasion to notice the other hard words in that poem. Humpty Dumpty's theory of two meanings packed into one word like a portmanteau seems to me the right explanation for all. For instance, take the two words fuming and furious. Make up your mind that you will say both words, but leave it unsettled which you will say first. Now open your mouth and speak. If your thoughts incline ever so little towards fuming, you will say fuming furious. If they turn by even a hair's breadth towards furious, you will say furious fuming. But if you have that rarest of gifts, a perfectly balanced mind, you will say frumious. Supposing that when Pistol uttered the well-known words, "Under which king Bezonian, speak or die," Justice Shallow had felt certain that it was either William or Richard, but had not been able to settle which, so that he could not possibly say either name before the other. Can it be doubted that, rather than die, he would have gasped out, "Bruttium"? Read the book. It's absolutely fantastic. And then read The Life of William Shallow, which was supposedly written by someone called Madden. There you go. My daughter should know all about this. She should know all about this.